Terrence Brown writes, do you think Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson could ever win an Oscar with a director like Steven Spielberg or David Fincher?
I don't think so. I love The Rock. I love Dwayne Johnson a lot, and it's not even that I don't think he has talent, because I think that movie Snitch, by the way, which I feel is underrated. I thought that was his best acting performance so far. And Faster, I know a lot of people liked him in that.
I like
too.
Faster.
Yeah, a lot of people liked him in Faster as well. He's got chops for sure, but I also think that he's got. If it's hard for Leonardo DiCaprio to win an Oscar, the reason I think it's hard for The Rock is because he's always going to have that wrestling thing on him, and the Academy is having enough problems getting visions of certain actors out of their heads. It's going to be very hard for them to get The Rock out. It's nothing against his talent, because I think eventually, if he works with the right director, he's a guy that works. He's a hard worker, but that's just me. Shep?
I don't know. I mean, I don't think The Rock cares about winning an Oscar. I mean, he's already won the hearts and minds of everyone on the planet. That's winning. So, I mean, you know, here's this little thing. There you go. Yay. You know, it's like that doesn't really matter, I think, to The Rock. I think it's like, look, he's going to keep getting better as an actor. He's going to keep exploring and doing different roles. He's always going to be an action hero or at least for the next 15 years. He's going to take other roles. He's going to do other things. Maybe he'll team up with a Spielberg or Fincher, or just an unknown director, or like a Goyen or someone else, like an extreme artist director. Who knows who's going to be the one that breaks him through and be like, oh my God, that was the role that he won a Spirit Award for.
Right.
Hey, like any award, it doesn't just have to be an Oscar. But I don't think it's about awards. I think it's just about when you're an actor like The Rock, it's about enjoying yourself, exploring different possibilities, and giving the people what they want. He's definitely in tune with what people want him to be, how they perceive him, and he's good at exploring that. So
I want this to happen so bad, if for no other reason than for the speech. He would give the greatest Oscar acceptance speech of the entire Kodak Theater would smell what he's cooking. It would be epic. I don't think it's gonna happen. I mean, if I'm a betting man, and I would never bet on him to win an Oscar. If he played George Washington in our Revolutionary War biopic, it's about kung fu into the 1776, I could see it happening. But I mean, look, but who would have thought that Steve Carell would have got nominated a couple of years ago, or who would have thought that Jamie Foxx, when he was doing Living Color, would have got nominated for an Oscar? So you can have these big career turns in your life, and maybe he's the next guy to do it.
I'm sorry. I just. No,
that was so cute.
I had a joke. That's not important. You go.
I want to see him host the Oscars. I definitely want to see him host the Oscars, because you're talking about a guy who's got charisma, who has energy, can use that hard work until you want to get in the favor of the Academy. That guy can rock the Oscars. You know he could, and he'd be so much better than majority of people that have done it. So that's my 2 cents. You got the joke ready?
Yeah. Let me
everybody
rewind my energy.
John has something funny to say.
Hang on a second, guys. Yeah, I guess The Rock would be awesome as George Washington in Founding Fathers.
Ooh, Abraham Lincoln, Vampire Hunter.
Bring them all together.
Snap Christian the Jew.
Let's grab another one. Ashley, what do you got?
All right. Malik Haywood writes, which is more difficult, a director rebooting a beloved franchise, or an actor/actress taking the lead as a rebooted character?
Mark, what do you think?
I think that it's definitely tougher for an actor and actress, because those are the people you see. I mean, behind the scenes, you can have a total tonal shift in making a film. Like, you look at Joel Schumacher's Batman versus Christopher Nolan's
Don't make me look at those.
You're gonna look at bat nipples, and you're gonna like it. But I think that as hard as it was to have, oh no, we're going to put this director, we're going to do this entirely different spin on it, that might actually be the harder job. But as far as an audience perspective, you need to pull off, hey, now I'm this character. Christian Bale needs to say, now I'm Batman. Forget about Val Kilmer and George Clooney and Michael Keaton. I'm the guy now. I think that's harder to do, but it might benefit the franchise more to have a great director come in.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that it's a lot harder for actors to do it, because when you think of the majority of the fury of fanboys on, it's been Ben Affleck's playing Batman, or Jesse Eisenberg's playing Lex Luthor. Like, people go crazy, as opposed to, like, if you're a good director, people are going to give you the benefit of the doubt. If you're stinky
in his vision.
Yeah. Oh, maybe that'd be interesting for him. Yeah. Okay, look, I don't really think that it should be remade, but the fact that, Spielberg's doing it, okay, I can get behind it.
Ben Affleck's Batman. What?
Right, but it depends though. Also, because like you said, you could have certain because Ben Affleck has had hits and misses in his career.
You say that Ben Affleck's Batman?
Yeah,
Ben Affleck's Batman. Your little kid be the Joker? I think that's a horrible idea.
Look at Jesse Eisenberg. who is a quality actor. Oscar.
He's bald now,
Yeah.
too.
Right. But people went nuts, and I was one of them when he got cast. Now, you look at people. If you have a crap director, like if what's his face? Well, we always use Michael Bay, so let's use Michael Bay. Michael Bay was up for rebooting Rocky. People would lose their minds.
Yeah, I'd be a little nervous.
Yeah, but if Ashton Kutcher was cast as Rocky, what would be the biggest? What would be the bigger one?
I would have some misgivings.
You would have more misgivings with Ashton Kutcher. You'd want to leave the country if you heard that was happening in general. But if Michael Bay directed Rocky remake with Ashton Kutcher, what would you be more upset with?
We'll just give America's rights back to the British at that point. You know what? We had a good run. You guys get it back.
We're obviously doing things wrong here.
Yeah, it's the first time people would be like, just bring back Rocky 5. I'll watch Rocky 5. Okay. All right, what's next?
Ben Brown writes.
Wait, I didn't get,
you didn't go.
I didn't get to chime in.
Sorry.
Thanks a lot, guys.
But I don't think Batman should be played by Ben Affleck. I think Batman should be played by Ernest.
Ernest Borgnine?
You know what? No, I think it's a combination of the two. You have to, like, if you look at Ben Affleck, he was in Daredevil, and it's like people were like, he's gonna be horrible in Daredevil, and then the guy Johnson who did Ghost Rider, he did Daredevil. It wasn't horrible. It just wasn't as great as everybody wanted it to be. So I think it's like it depends on the synergy and like who's coming in as a director, and if they have a vision, and then if they have a great actor attached to that, then that actor has to, like, they're taking over and rebooting a character in their own perspective. So it's a combination of the two, I think.
Do you think it's more of a happy? So you don't think there's one sways more than the other?
I don't. I honestly think it's the energy between everyone on set, and that's. I mean, you see the energy from the actor because they're in front of the camera, but everybody involved, the hair and makeup, the costume, the producers, every single person involved in a movie, they're integral to the energy of that film and why it's either good or bad.
Energy.
Yeah,
it surrounds us. It penetrates us. It binds the galaxy.
What I'm trying to talk about are midi-chlorians, guys. Oh, I had to say it.
Ruin the moment. All right, Ashley. What's the last one?
All right. Ben Brown writes, why aren't there more movies about MMA? Warrior is an underrated movie, and Never Back Down is a guilty movie to me.
I would love to see more movies about MMA because I want to see the only one we got that was really UFC endorsed was that the Kevin James one.
Yeah.
Which wasn't horrible.
I actually like that movie.
No,
it was
and
surprising.
because you could tell what UFC has been so great at doing is marketing their brand, knowing how to portray their brand, and they actually did it well in that. What was that movie called?
It was not called Paul Blart Mall
Whatever
Cop,
it was.
so don't get that confused with the other movie. But it was good. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was fine. It didn't turn like when I was a big wrestling fan back in the day. Like Ready to Rumble was a movie I thought just didn't portray the wrestling business as the way it was. That movie did, and Warrior certainly did. Mm-hmm. Warrior is the best. I didn't love Red Belt, which is a David Mamet movie. Some people really loved it. I really disliked it a lot.
You need to put fighting in a movie about fighting.
Yeah, no, well, but what these movies, these MMA movies did for a long time was that there was always like a crime element. It's like I was like, yeah, there's the sport, but then there's gangsters in the
It's
background.
like Lionheart. There's always dudes holding dollar bills. Like, I bet on this, and now I'm gonna go punch a woman and do drugs.
It's a sport. It's a sport that has overtaken boxing as like it's the number one physical combat sport, and it's like I want to see more. I want to see a story about like this. It's guys who have fascinating stories. I know they did one with Matt Hamill, who was deaf, and he did the I think actually. Matt Hamilton, and then there's another one that Frank Mir is another guy, ex-heavyweight champion, who has a fascinating story. There's so many stories that they could tell, whether it be the true live events or even how it works that people don't know about MMA could do. But that's just me.
I think it's ripe for a great story, like a behind-the-scenes story that doesn't involve crime, but just involves people training, and like you get to know all the different people and why they're involved and why they wanted to get into that ring and fight the savage fight of MMA. It's really, truly a really tough training to be an MMA fighter. It's all of the disciplines are all there. So.
There's something about watching two boxers. That's why it's called the sweet science. There's just something about seeing that on screen that cinematically I think is a lot more appealing than the style that MMA fights happen in. I think that just there's dudes grabbing onto each other. I know there's a lot of technical proficiency. Warrior did, but that was all about the story as opposed to the actual fights looked good, but that wasn't what sold me on the movie. That's not why I loved it. I loved the fight scenes, but the better parts of those movies to me were the interactions with the characters.
that's the
So
point.
you could do that again.
Yeah.
What I would be, but I think that what I would be more interested in with the UFC movie, to be honest, is the way that the UFC came to prominence. Is Dana White behind the scenes? I think that'd be more of like a biopic thing for somebody who's. I'm not an MMA fan, just because visually to my eye, it just doesn't strike me as enjoyable to watch the same way boxing does.
Oh.
Hey everyone, if you liked this video, click that thumbs up button and make sure to subscribe to our AMC Movie News YouTube channel. It's free and helps you stay up to date with all the latest movie news, as well as our daily AMC movie talk show. Also, make sure that you follow us on Facebook and Twitter to stay up to date with all of our special promotions, contests, and prize giveaways.